You will be staying with us because we're going to stay on this topic, and another development has come from Europe as French President Emmanuel Macron says that US President Donald Trump has told European leaders that Washington and all willing allies should be part of security guarantees for Ukraine once peace is reached. Macron says Trump made the remarks during a video call with European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky just 2 days before his planned meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska. According to Macron, Trump was clear that NATO would not be part of any such guarantees, a key demand for Moscow, but insisted the United States and other willing partners should play a role. Macron called Washington's willingness to commit to guarantees a positive step, even as Kyiv continues to push for NATO membership as its best long-term security shield. Well, Ross, thank you for staying with us. Some big, of course, developments there from Emmanuel Macron. Is this a concession from Donald Trump acknowledging that he doesn't want NATO to be a part of any future safeguarding for Ukraine?
The United States position, even going back to President Biden's administration, has been very clear about avoiding NATO involvement. And although certain European countries have supported Ukraine's accession to NATO, the Biden administration was kind of unclear when and if that might happen, or if the Biden administration even supported that. But now the president is Trump, and President Trump is very clear he doesn't support NATO accession for Ukraine. So I'm confused, frankly, by the use of the word guarantees. Frankly, I'd be very surprised if President Trump has committed to any kind of U.S. guarantee for Ukraine's security. What is more likely, as we were talking about in the earlier segment, is the possibility that the more militarily powerful European countries like Germany, France, and the United Kingdom might put troops on the ground as a buffer between Russian and Ukrainian military forces. But again, this will play out in the coming hours and days, especially after the meeting between Putin and Trump. But the word guarantee and any kind of security guarantee from the United States, frankly, I'm not sure what Macron is talking about. And we have to wait and see what President Trump says in this regard. But I'd be very surprised if President Trump says the United States is willing to participate in a security guarantee for Ukraine.
Yes, absolutely, Ross. And very briefly, before we move on, can I just get your thoughts on how you think this meeting will go tomorrow between Trump and Putin? Do you think that this will be the catalyst for a real ceasefire deal, or is it going to be similar case scenarios to what we've seen so far?
Again, the parameters of a potential ceasefire are generally known, and that includes that Ukraine would have to accept that part of its sovereign territory is going to be occupied by Russia. It doesn't mean Ukraine has to accept that from an international law or legal perspective. But the reality is that Russia does occupy part of Ukrainian territory. Ukraine really doesn't have much hope of dislodging the Russian military from those territories at the moment. And there is going to be pressure from the United States and potentially from European leaders that President Zelensky has to accept that reality. So I would say we should be optimistic about a ceasefire, but it's not necessarily something we should be optimistic about being in Ukrainians' long-term interests.
Ross Feingold, as always, such a pleasure to have you on the programme. Thank you ever so much for your insights on those diplomatic topics. We will, of course, have all eyes